The haircut, definitely very similar. The devil may care attitude and demeanor at the table. There's a lot of similarities.
Absolutely. Yeah, Paul always used to say, or always does say, on every team, there's the brains, the brawn, and the wild card. And he likes to fill the role of wild card.
So Gerhart starts off the action here with a creeping tar pit. Wiley simply wastelands it.
Pretty sure beauty's in there too. There's like brains, beauty, brawn. Maybe there's not even brawn.
There has to be.
Yeah. I mean, that is why Sam Black is, why we test with Sam Black. He provides the muscle.
Right. The imposing physical presence.
If you've ever been on a dance floor with Sam Black, I think it is fair to say that imposing physical presence is a fair description. Man knows how to get down at a discotheque.
So Deathrite Shaman to play for Wiley on turn 2. Gerhart at the end of the turn attempting to brainstorm. The end of turn brainstorm often signaling that there is something wrong with someone's hand. Or that mana is a concern.
For those of you interested in how to cast Brainstorm, there's a series of articles by AJ Soccer on the subject. My Brainstorm, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on successfully casting Brainstorm and optimizing it. It's not an easy spell to cast.
It is not. So Gerhart going to go get a Bayou using Abrupt Decay to take care of the Deathrite Shaman. And it feels like the slower the pacing of the game, the more this plays into Gerhart's strategy.
Yeah, I mean, Gerhart has Planeswalkers. He has eight extra creatures that draw cards, where Wiley has a bunch of tempo plays, that just try to beat down, like Delver of Secrets. And even though True Name Nemesis can be defensive, it is also a very fast, lethal threat.
So Wiley goes ahead and fetches after his Ponder. He has another copy of Deathrite Shaman.
I am glad to see that Legacy has managed to adapt to the presence of True Name Nemesis. True Name Nemesis has kind of a perverting, corrupting influence on the format, but at least people are just like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to have to play with that many more Golgari Charms and Toxic Deluges and Marsh Casualties.
Yeah, I think the reaction to that was overstated in part because you need to play some different cards to answer it. See a Hypnotorak here from Kevin.
Yeah, and we've seen an increase in things like Terminus, black cards up and down, Rough Tumble, actually doing stone nothing, but...
Or decks that just kind of ignore combat altogether.
Oh, yeah.
They're also much better. People are cutting Vendilion clicks to add True Name Nemesis. That's very good for the sneak and shows of the world.
Yeah, and the dredge decks of the world love that most of these decks can't afford very many sideboard slots for graveyard hate.
So here's a Tarmogoyf from John, passing with his Deathrite Shaman. And another Brainstorm from Kevin. John gives it the thumbs up. A Tarmogoyf, a Charlotte's Agent, and another copy of Tarmogoyf. You can see with these Charlotte's Agents, you get the feeling that if Kevin can keep the ground stabilized and make sure that the beatdowns don't get out of control, he's going to be able to squeeze out a lot of value over the long term.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching that Veteran Explorer deck earlier that's all about value. Let me just tell you, Shardless Agenting up a Baleful Strix.
That's so much free stuff.
That is value.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, it is an embarrassment, that's for sure.
I have a 2/2 and a 1/1, and I drew a card for nothing. All that was for nothing.
Is Baleful Strix the creature in Legacy with the most keywords that actually sees a lot of play?
That is an interesting question. I mean, no one's achromating anymore,
It's true.
Flying, Death Touch.
I mean, 2 isn't the highest bar, but I mean, Legacy not well known for the keywords.
Trying to figure out what he's going to do here. I mean, is he getting hit with an Abrupt Decay right now, so he can't counterspell it, but he can use the Deathrite Shaman to make mana. Decides against.
So the Tarmogoyf putting a fair bit of pressure on Kevin, but Kevin has quite the mana advantage.
This is an interesting dynamic of the bug matchup, is that you cannot entirely stabilize through blockers plus counterspells because Abrupt Decay throws a wrench in all of that.
Absolutely. We were talking about Imp's Mischief before. Dude, what about Imp's Mischief? Move that Abrupt Decay from my Tarmogoyf onto your Tarmogoyf?
You could be diverting too.
It's possible.
Divert's not bad against Hymn to Torak either. So Brainstorm here from John does not find a third land to be able to cast the Dark Confidant in his hand, so simply
Gerhart
pass-
does draw a fetch land, which is important for giving him access to a second Tarmogoyf this turn if he wants it.
So there's the Tarmogoyf.
So what do you think of only playing one of the Tarmogoyfs?
I think that he has another Shardless Agent, and he wants to not lose that to the shuffle,
Ah,
because there's so much value.
sure, and he's got some life to play with, so even if he gets abrupted here.
Okay. Well, he's going to respond with a fetch. Never you mind, I suppose. And here comes another hit with the Tarmogoyf.
And he just explicitly does not want the Shardless Agent, apparently.
Maybe he feels he's falling a little bit too far behind. Although he's just appears to have drawn another. This is a Liliana of the Veil. That's got to be worth a Force of Will here.
Yeah, that is quite the Liliana. That's a straight up succubus
Mhm.
type of Liliana.
And there's another Goyf.
What is the blue card in Gerhart's hand?
Is a copy of. He has Abrupt Decay. He pitched the Stifle. That was the last remaining blue card he had. So he's a Dark Confidant plus his draw step currently, which was a Ponder.
Dark Confidant, sure. Oh, I meant Gerhart.
Oh, he has a Shardless Agent.
Shardless Agent. He did actually have it. Okay.
Time to spin.
Spin to win. Let's do this.
That's not a bad one.
That's what we were looking for. The old 3-mana Bloodbraid Elf.
But John's still with Dark Confidant plus Force of Will backup, so he can start reassembling here. Tarmogoyf, the play for Kevin. And that's it. John's willing to Force of Will that too. Hoping that Bob can take him home.
Another Shardless Agent. And a Deathray Shaman. This means one agent's probably going to get in there, right?
Yep. Got to start taxing that life total, especially in the face of the Dark Confidant, and your own Deathrite Shaman in play now. Reveals Daze to Dark Confidant.
Daze, not the best card for your opponent to know about.
On turn 12 with a bunch of mana in play, not the best.
So this Creeping Tar Pit is about to start getting crazy, right? Like Deathrite Shaman combined with Creeping Tar Pit. I mean, Gerhart, despite his low life total, is in real good shape.
Whoa. That's a big draw, Jace the Mind Sculptor. See if this resolves. We know that John's just looking at the days in his hand. He's going to pay for it.
Which does save him 2 life because of the Deathray Shaman.
This has got to make you pretty happy. The game is going back and forth. Each player jockeying for position. Jace shows up and blows the whole thing up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is like that 24-hour music video by Pharrell. Because I'm happy, you know. Bounces the Deathray Shaman at this point. If Wiley's going to bounce his land... Oh, no, he does bounce the Dark Confidant.
Yeah. He just wants to get aggressive here.
Now, keep in mind that Deathray Shaman is potentially a couple extra points of damage.
Yeah, I mean, Wiley can play a staring contest against Kevin's Deathrite Shaman, but John is so behind on total resources that that's a really hard game to play.
Yeah, I mean, he could for sure force through 2 right now, but the first 2 don't help him nearly as much as the last 3. Got a feeling we're going to see some more Jace bouncing.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing more he would want to brainstorm into besides unsummons.
There it is. And
Whoop.
here's the attack. Do you think that the same people who enjoy playing with Charlotte's Agent are the same people who are passionate about clipping coupons from the circular? I assume you just have to love that kind of, the feeling of just getting these small edges. See Deathrite Shaman here making some mana. John trying to stay alive, but he is facing an overwhelming board.
Which part? The Deathrite Shaman, the 2 Shardless Agents, the Creeping Tar Pit, or the Jace the Mind Sculptor?
Any one of them. Unclear he can beat any. And
He
there's
could beat 1 Shardless Agent if he drew well.
Yep. All right. So Shardless Bug up a game here against John Wiley. The control elements, Shardless Agent especially, proved a little too much for John to overcome in that first game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the mana advantage was very, very, very key there.
Yes.
Just
Welcome back to the booth. Patrick Sullivan, Patrick Chapin, Star City Games Legacy Open here in Detroit. It is trivia time. We are going to give away 6 free months of premium. The way the contest works is I'm going to ask you a question. You will tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responders, 1 will be selected at random for 6 free months of Star City Games Premium.
Is it about speed or accuracy?
It is about accuracy. So
Are we affiliated with Twitch in any way?
We are not
regarding the
affiliated with
contest?
Twitch. Our lawyers would like you to know that this contest is run solely by Star City Games, and Twitch TV is not responsible for any unauthorized giveaways that occur on their streams, because this apparently has become a thing. That's why I have to keep repeating this, because otherwise Twitch shuts us down. That's my understanding.
So last round, our trivia question about an iconic 1GW 3-drop, Knight of the Reliquary. Not Chronicle of Heroes, Knight of the Reliquary. And this round, the answer to the trivia question is somebody well known for their love of Knight of the Reliquary, who recently has had a playmat starring them, like them spread out, available, circulating kind of the community by demand, the people have demanded it.
A coworker of mine, former 2-time Pro Tour champion,
So the
Magic
question,
Hall of Famer.
So the question is, which SCG premium columnist currently has a pinup playmat and is well known for their love of Knight of the Reliquary? Tweet at SCG Live, use the hashtag SCG Premium, hashtag SCG Detroit, hashtag, well, if you know his hashtag, throw that in there.
Oh yeah,
Send him us and hashtag, or not even hashtag, at 5 with Flores. Thank you. It's not Flores, that's not the answer, but make sure to link him in there, and it doesn't increase your odds of winning, but
It can't hurt.
It won't hurt.
It will not hurt you, we assure you.
Yeah.
So moving on to the sideboard here, again, John Wiley trying to play a little bit more of an aggressive game, even though they have a lot of overlapping cards. Kevin trying to control the board. Looking at the sideboard here, John, 2 copies of Grafdigger's Cage, a Pithy Needle, an Arcane Laboratory, 2 Disfigures, a Flush of Storm, Force of Will, a Crozane Grip, Umazawa's Jitte, Vidillion Click, a Maelstrom Pulse, and 2 Marsh Casualties. What do you like?
Well, I think Dr. Wiley's going to try to switch into like an Umazawa's Jitte type of plan, if not for Abrupt Decay. I don't know. It's tough. None of this is really too appealing. I guess Disfigure at least kills a Deathrite Shaman. That's at least something. But I think his main deck is already pretty optimized for the head-to-head. The big variable, I think, is if he wants to react to these Planeswalkers. If he wants things like Maelstrom Pulse, which could also obviously be used to just kill a creature, but Maelstrom Pulse or Pithing Needle.
I do think that I like the having access to a little bit of additional removal. I think the Maelstrom Pulse will come in. I think if he wants the Vidillion Click, it's just a pretty good flyer and attacker, generally disruptive
Another
element.
great answer to Planeswalkers, too.
Yeah, 2 copies of Disfigure I anticipate coming in as well, as it kills the majority of Kevin's creatures, most notably Deathrite Shaman.
And it helps win the Tarmogoyf head-to-head. 2 Tarmogoyfs crash into each other, like Dave Matthews, and Disfigure ends up making yours the winner.
Absolutely. And Kevin's sideboard, 3 Nile Spellbombs, a Notion Thief, a Disfigure of his own, 2 Flush of Storms, 2 Golgari Charms, 2 Duress, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Toxic Deluge.
Now, the Toxic Deluge, much more important for Kevin in terms of giving him more removal, but also just a big sweeper. I mean, Wiley has Tarmogoyf, Deathrite Shaman, Delver of Secrets, Dark Confidant, and True Name Nemesis. Toxic Deluge, very important. Additionally, obviously, Disfigure for every Tarmogoyf and Deathrite Shaman match. And I actually think Golgari Charm is going to be important here. Obviously, it's an answer to True Name Nemesis, which is important, but it's also an answer to Dark Confidant and sometimes Delver of Secrets.
What do you think about the Notion Thief?
I think Notion Thief goes without saying.
You just had to.
Whenever somebody beats you with Jace the Mind Sculptor, and they have Brainstorm. I mean, that's Notion Thief's purpose in life.
Yeah, it was meant for that.
Yeah, it was meant to be. But beyond that, I think that's about it.
I feel like One Notion Thief in a lot of these sideboards isn't particularly good, but it is too fun not to play.
I think if you haven't played Notion Thief in the sideboard of one of your constructed decks, you got no heart. Like, that's just, sometimes you just gotta go out there and live a little.
Right.
You know, that's taking chances. That's like, you're just walking back through the old neighborhood. You notice there's a party in the backyard of some kid's house. It's kind of weird because you're like 34 and these kids are in high school, and you just go stop over and see what's going on, and they're burning things. You got to live a little. You just got to get out there and be bold and live.
StarCityGames.com and its affiliates do not recommend going to high school parties when you are in your mid-30s. That's also a legal disclaimer that our lawyers are tuning into me right now, telling that I need to disclaim. John on the play here starts off with just a tropical island.
It looks like the Doctor's got a pretty good mix of brainstorms and 2-drop threats, but not the greatest tempo start.
And most notably, it does not appear to have a second land at the ready here, so this could get messy. Brainstorm finds a Delver, a Wasteland, and a Deathrite Shaman.
Yep. Disappointing to not have your Dark Confidant online, but at least he has access to Deathrite Shaman, prospects of actually using it for black mana, ways to actually power up or to cast Tarmogoyf even if things go wrong. This is not a bad little sequence. He's even got more brainstorms to let him keep going later.
Yeah.
Any chance he just plays the Delver and Wastelands the Underground Sea, like just Suicide Maniac speed style?
I think that I like using Wasteland and then casting Deathrite Shaman, and that opens up all of your 2s.
I like it.
We'll see which way he wants to go. Wasteland takes care of the Underground Sea. And there is Deathrite Shaman.
It is interesting the difference in direction that Shardless Agent takes you down, because while their creature selection looks similar, the spells end up being quite different. With Ancestral Visions and Hymn to Torok versus Spell Pierce, Stifle, and Daze. A bunch of cards you do not want to flip with Shardless Agent.
Yeah, Shardless Agent definitely informs your spell suite, certainly.
It's interesting to have all the counterspells in the beatdown deck.
Mm-hmm. But this is Legacy, where if you don't have ways to interact with spells, you will get killed very quickly. So
now keep in mind, as a note, this the Shardless Bug deck, 0 Force of Wills. You might be wondering how he gets all the room for all these cards. It's because he has 0 Force of Wills in his entire 75. That, my friend, is not giving a care. That's fearlessness.
that is total fearlessness. Kevin here just suspends Ancestral Visions.
That's another nice one to Notion Thief, by the way. I mean, obviously, same deck here, but if you're ever in the True Mirror and you Notion Thief the guy's Ancestral,
You can't even Abrupt Decay it too, so it's just going to happen. It's just a thing.
yeah. And that, my friend, is why you need Golgari Charm.
All right, Dark Confidant in play.
This, another reason why Golgari Charm is useful. Brainstorm looking for Disfigure. What do you think about the rise of Disfigure in Legacy? I mean, it's become like a literal staple.
It's definitely odd. I mean, it's not a card that you would look at on first blush and assume that it would be good, but
Are you saying that because it's slightly worse than Shock?
yes. But the format is defined by 2 toughness and less creatures, so it's not totally surprising.
Right, and obviously it's in a color that appreciates it a little bit more. I mean, people already play red almost exclusively for Lightning Bolt.
Right. I mean, in my Legacy burn list, for example, I'm considering cutting Searing Blaze for Searing Blood because just everything that matters is 2 toughness.
Wow.
So Disfigure fits right in.
What if you just played 8?
Oh, between main deck and sideboard, there's 8. 'Cause you just need to get them.
Do you play the one that destroys artifacts and does 3 also?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's pretty glorious.
Any spells that interact with the opponent also have to deal damage to them as well. That's the rule. Sulfuric Vortex is fine for this purpose.
You're not at lunge yet, right?
No, I'm not at lunge yet.
Because it does too. It's the right amount.
Yeah, it's priced to move. All right. On the other side of the bracket, Morgan McLaughlin, our Rogue Delver player, defeats Thomas Herzog in the first game.
Now this is where the zealous persecutions come in.
This would be, depending on how combat goes, a good spot. For a control-based strategy, Kevin's not really that flush with answers to an early Dark Confidant.
No, I mean, he's got 4 Abrupt Decays, 2 Lilianas if things are going better than they are now, and then his sideboard includes 2 Golgari Charms, a Disfigure, and 2 Toxic Deluge.
So John's going to take the opportunity here. Go ahead and Abrupt Decay the Deathrite Shaman.
Wiley playing a pretty classic tempo game. He's just applying a little bit of pressure, but keeping the cards coming so that every turn he can react to whatever it is Kevin does. He's short on mana, though. I mean, the Deathrite Shaman is obviously saving him a bit, but this is one of the prices of playing with 18 land like Wiley is, where Gerhart has 23.
There's Liliana the Veil.
Which one do you think eats it?
Well, I like this play a lot from Kevin because you would assume that John is just going to get rid of his Deathrite Shaman and try to keep Dark Confidant in play. But that's potentially walking him further and further into this Golgari Charm.
Absolutely.
And if John wants to sacrifice his Dark Confidant, it's not like you're upset with that play either.
Right.
All Kevin really wants to do here is just keep his head above water and let this Ancestral Visions go off. Things get much easier from there.
And Wiley does walk face first into Mega Man's trap. Another Deathrite Shaman. Liliana, surprisingly, takes the fall.
Here's another Deathrite Shaman. Wonder what the follow-up is here.
Is it a Deathrite Shaman of his own? Maybe a Thought Caesar or Brainstorm?
I don't
Hopefully
think
not just suspending another Visions.
Well, I think that John probably wants to, I mean, if he plays a Delver of Secrets, that's quite risky this turn.
Oh,
because
and
now
yeah.
Golgari Charm is live and in full effect. Visions ticks down to 1.
This Golgari Charm is going to be backbreaking. Particularly with that Visions on 1 getting ready to just explode.
Here's -1/-1.
Pack it up, pack it in. So now he's going to want... Oh, okay, so he decides to tap out anyway, risking having the Visions disrupted by a Spell Pierce or a Daze. Oh no, he'll be untapped. Yeah.
So-
Wiley trying to find the 3rd mana for the true name. Oh, he has the Deathrite. God. This isn't so bad.
Well,
This is a 5-turn clock.
Well, the problem is that this Visions is about to go off with Kevin at 15 and a lot of mana in play. So if he draws reasonably well, he may just be able to overpower this True Name Nemesis. Another copy of Deathrite Shaman and a Tarmogoyf. And here it goes.
The Toxic Deluge?
Yes.
Toxic Deluge is very strong here. Giving him some much needed insurance against True Name Nemesis while also threatening to completely dominate Wiley's mana. Now, do you just do it now to leave him with no mana? Or do you just hang out one more turn?
Well, he has Jace the Mind Sculptor. A play that I potentially like here quite a bit is Jace,
Bounce the Tarmogoyf?
and then suspend Ancestral.
Oh, that's a real good turn.
Hangs back on defense, and, in the face of a Jace, maybe John decides, I need to get True Name Nemesis online instead, and then you wipe everything.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see, John. I mean, Kevin has a lot of resources, a lot of different lines to work with, but I think Jace is both, of course, very powerful to have in play. The board's relatively stable, and it may cause John to walk right into the maw of Toxic Deluge.
Definitely. I think that Jace is the ace that will let him win the race.
Just feels like this matchup's pretty tough for John. I mean, it's just...
And it's funny because he made short work of the bug control deck. But that's the thing about Legacy. Bug Delver, Shardless Bug, Bug Control. They have some similarities, but 3 different decks. And the differences between them, very important.
All right. Well, here's Jason the Mind Sculptor.
Which, by definition, is the hero. Man, this deck, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Ancestral Visions, Hymned Turok, Shardless Agent, Baleful Strix. Do you think he knows something about card advantage?
All right, here's a Brainstorm. Finds 2 copies of Abrupt Decay. My goodness. That's a lot to work with. I guess this play is a little bit better than simply unsummoning the Tarmogoyf, because if John has Abrupt Decay in his hand, he can simply go, I'll Abrupt Decay your Tarmogoyf, attack and kill Jace without advancing the board. So this is also pretty nice. Ponder the draw for John. Does he sense that he's getting set up here? And if your opponent doesn't unsummon your Tarmogoyf from this spot, you got a feeling that they're trying to say to you, put some more stuff into play. Here's a Ponder. Looks like a Spell Pierce and 2 lands. And John says, no thank you.
What's John's realistic best hope of actually catching back up here? I mean, if he just...
I think it has to be something like play True Name Nemesis, it gets killed in some capacity, and then have a follow-up True Name Nemesis that Kevin can't answer. This is just a really tough spot.
No 2 ways about it.
Even if John navigates this position perfectly, it's going to be tough.
He doesn't even have the mana to cast his other True Name Nemesis after the Toxic Deluge next turn. There's no chance you just bounce your own Tarmogoyf here, is there?
I think you just bounce his Tarmogoyf and then Deluge for a smaller amount.
And then just bash?
Yep.
Bash, crash, and
Oh, he also
throw him out.
He also has 2 copies of Abrupt Decay in his hand now, so he can do it all.
Yeah, and he's got Wasteland too.
Here's a Deluge. Find out what the number is momentarily. I'm
2.
assuming 2.
He held up 2 fingers.
This is just a crippling turn. I mean, if he goes and Abrupt Decays the Tarmogoyf and Wastelands the guy, I mean, he might even just get to start Fate Sealing because his board will be so advanced. And there it is. Now Wasteland on the Tropical Island. Now here's Abrupt Decay. And Tarmogoyf comes crashing in. Just a brutal turn from Kevin, and he was setting this up for quite a while. And yeah, now he can actually just start Fate Sealing.
Old friend.
Brainstorm. No lands. Does John tap?
Well, the tough thing is that with no lands, Kevin doesn't even need to Fate Seal him.
Another land the draw. Tarmogoyf coming across, lethal next turn. He'll Brainstorm. A Shardless Agent, a Strix.
Is he going to set up the Cascade combo?
I think he's going to put some lands back. Just assemble his own shuffle.
Yep.
On the other side of the bracket, Morgan McLaughlin wins 2 games to 0. He awaits the winner of this, which appears to be Kevin Gerhart. Draws. There's a ponder. Still no land. Gonna keep fighting here, but
Kevin does in fact still have all of those.
plus what's in play, which is a lot.
Thousands of dollars of dominance in play already.
And there's the concession. Kevin Gerhart, 2-0 over John Wiley. Great run for John, but that matchup felt like Kevin was equipped with all the tools.
Absolutely.
And so the finals will be set up momentarily between Kevin Gerhart and Morgan McLaughlin, Rug Delver versus Shardless Bug.